Morning, everybody. So today we're going to talk about shoulder mobility, and shoulder mobility is really important because what happens to the upper back and shoulders is just as important as what happens in your core. So from a Pilates standpoint and from a postural standpoint, whatever happens in your upper back is going to directly translate into what happens in the front. Okay, so if we're sitting all day long in this position over top of our desks, typing on our computer, we end up with a lot of weakness through the shoulders, through the upper back, and the ability to actually pull ourselves back up and maintain a straight posture. When you spend 8 to 10 hours a day in this position, or 8 to 10 hours looking at a phone, whatever it might be, then it decreases the strength through the upper back and through the shoulders, and decreases the mobility through the upper back and shoulders. And so when we lose that mobility specifically, we're at a higher risk for injury. And so we want to be able to actually sit up nice and straight, be able to draw the shoulders back towards a neutral position, and still be able to maintain the rib cage over top of the hips. So all of this line all affects every single part. So if the shoulders are rounded forward, it will affect other muscles through the neck, through the waist, and even down and through the hips, and it can travel all the way down through the feet. So in Pilates specifically, we're always looking at postural alignment. We're always looking at where are your strengths, what muscles need to work to pull you back into position, and what muscles might be a little tighter and drawing you forward into that hunched position. So today we're going to talk about mobility. Okay, and when we're doing these exercises and working on the mobility of the shoulder, we're also going to be paying close attention to posture. So you'll hear me talk about maintaining the rib cage over the hips and maintaining the nice width across the collarbones. Those things are really important to be able to maintain those muscles firing properly as you go through the movements, okay? So when we go through each of these things, you're gonna notice that maybe your rib cage moves back and forth a little bit more. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of learning to be able to contract the core right through the center underneath the ribs as you're moving the shoulder blades, because they get a little jammed up in there and they don't like to move. And so our brain wants to help us out and go, oh, no, I'll help you do that. It's okay. We're just gonna like move the rib cage a little bit instead. So what should happen is your shoulder blades should sit on your back, okay? They should sit in about a V, okay? And when you move your ribs, they should move with you. But what happens for lots of people is, because we're in this chronically rounded forward position, the shoulder blades actually stay in that rounded forward position. And so consequently, the musculature around the whole rest of the shoulder gets a little weakened in places and then over tight in other places. So the shoulder blades are a really interesting part of the body because they have so much movement. So your shoulder blades can actually go forwards, they can go backwards, they can go up, they can go down, they can do circles both directions, they can go up and out, and they can come down and in. So there's an awful lot of complexity into that upper back and into the shoulder girdle. And so we can't touch on all of it, obviously, in a short video, but we're gonna touch on some. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on protraction and retraction. So protraction and retraction is actually separating the shoulder blades away from the spine, and then retraction is pulling them back in and towards the spine. So I'm going to turn around so you can kind of see what happens in my back and see what the protraction and retraction actually looks like. And then you're going to do those exercises yourself. So when I turn, you'll be able to see my shoulder blades. Here's the corner of my shoulder blade right on my back here. When I push my shoulder blade away from my spine, that corner comes all the way out here. When I pull my shoulder blade back in towards my spine, which is a retraction, it comes much closer to my spine. So when I push the shoulder blade away, I actually have to physically use the muscles through the front of the shoulder to help push that shoulder blade away from the spine. When I pull the shoulder blade back in, I have to physically use the muscles through the back side to actually draw the shoulder blade back in and down. And so when you hold your arms up like this, you should actually feel the front of your shoulder working to help hold your arm up. a lot of people that have dysfunction through their shoulder blades will actually feel their neck when they hold up their arms. And if that's the case for you, just put your hands down lower and then just press them into your leg. And you can do this sitting in a chair. You don't have to be sitting on the floor like I am. You can sit on a chair, sit on a ball, whatever you want to do. So as you push your shoulder blades away from your spine, you should feel the chest tighten. As you pull your shoulder blades back in and together, you should feel your middle back tighten. And you can see that my rib cage stays right over my hips, but your body's tendency is going to be to slouch and then to arch to make things work properly the first few times that you try it. So you want to start to feel that mobility through those shoulder blades. The second thing we're going to do is an elevation and depression. So I said your shoulder blades should lift and they should push back down your back. And so if you press the shoulder blades up, it should feel like they're trying to lift up and away from your back pockets. And as you press them down, it should feel like you're trying to dip them back down and into your back pockets. So as you're doing that movement, that little lift and then the little press down, there's an awful lot of muscles through the upper back that actually have to work to help to get you there. Okay, and these muscles attach all the way up into your neck, so they're pretty important. They help stabilize your spine all the way up into the back of your skull, and you want to be able to feel the width of your collarbones. So for a lot of people that sit hunched all day at the computer, when they go to lift their shoulders, they'll actually round them forward to lift them instead of being able to maintain them back and lift them like you're up against a wall. So it should just feel like a gentle lift and a gentle lower. If they're hunched all the way up into your ears, chances are pretty good that you're hunching them forward and rounding your back to get them there. So this is just an elevation and depression, and this is just a mobility, trying to get those shoulder blades to just glide on the rib cage a little more smoothly with that up and down movement. Then we're going to do arm circles. And I find a lot of clients actually enjoy all three of these exercises laying down, but arm circles specifically because it's really easy to feel where your rib cage is in relation to space, and also to feel how your shoulder blades actually move around on the rib cage. So what should happen is as you lift your arm, your shoulder blade will go out towards your armpit and it'll lift up. And then as you circle your arm, the shoulder blade will actually do like a wipe on, wipe off sensation, like in the Karate Kid, if you're old enough to remember that. So you do a little wipe on and a wipe off. So your inhale will be to lift the arm up, and then an exhale to circle the arm. And I'm gonna lay down and we're just gonna do both arms at the same time. So you're just gonna find a nice wide shoulder. You may need a pillow under your head to take any pressure out of your neck. You can also do this exercise seated. You don't have to lay down on the floor to do it. So you're gonna inhale, raise your arms up and overhead, and then exhale and just circle the arms back in. And as you do these circles, the body's going to want to arch the back so that you can reach further and then jam the ribs back down. And very often when we get people that sit at a desk all day, this is what their arm circles look like. So they get a ton of rib cage movement with the circle. I want you to control what happens with your rib cage and just move through the shoulder blade and through the shoulder to provide that circle. So you're maintaining a connection through the waist throughout the entire movement, okay? So then we're gonna flip over onto our bellies, okay? And we're gonna start working on a little bit more focus through the back of the shoulder blade. So if you feel pressure in your low back laying on your belly, you can also do this exercise seated in a chair, just having your arms held up in front of you. I like the floor because it gives you some feedback. If you need a pillow underneath your hips, you're more than welcome to put a pillow underneath your hips as well. So from this position, you're just gonna squeeze your bum, anchor your pubic bone down a little bit. I also like a pillow under the head for some people just to keep their neck in a good alignment. You're just gonna press gently down into your hands. The arms are in a W shape. You're gonna inhale and hold that. And as you exhale, you're just gonna barely lift the elbows off of the floor. And then you're gonna set them back down again. So you're just gonna do a tiny little lift of the elbows and then set them back down. And so what this does is help you to start recognizing what muscles work in the back of your shoulder. So you should feel the muscles in the back of the shoulder actually engaging to help you lift the arms up. Lots of people will also feel a pull through the front of the chest as they lift their elbows. There isn't a hunch to the shoulders to do it. The shoulders just stay still, and it's just a gentle lift of that elbow up, okay?
Then you're going to switch and bring the arms long down by your sides. And now you're going to lift the whole arm towards the ceiling, and then lower. So you want to feel the whole back of the shoulder and the back of the arm draw up while you keep the wrists nice and long, and then lower. So all the rest of the body is staying nice and still. You're just using the back of the shoulder and the back of the arm and the muscles between the shoulder blade to actually lift the arm up. Okay? And then you're going to do the other side, just so that you're even. You will notice that you have different flexibility on different arms, but you want to also be paying attention to what happens in the rest of your body as you are lifting and lowering your arm. Do you tip over to the side? Do you feel yourself lifting higher? Do you feel any pressure in your low back? What else is going on, and how does your body try and compensate for you so that you can actually do those movements? So we worked on doing some protraction and retraction, doing some elevation and depression, doing some circles with the arms, doing some upper back work, doing some just general shoulder mobility. So try all those exercises, see how your shoulders feel after. You can try them sitting at your desk as well, or you can do them exactly as we've done them here today. Enjoy, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.